Holy shit, folks. Once in a while, something happens when you're watching sports and you realize that you're watching something that's making history. The Edmonton Oilers are on the verge of crafting possibly the greatest season in terms of storylines that I've been alive for. You go from 31st, I believe, in the NHL after the first month or so of the season. Now you go all the way to the Stanley Cup Final and then come back. You have a roaring season. It's incredible. You've got no momentum coming into the playoffs. You've got players hitting career highs. Then you get to the Stanley Cup Final. You're down 3-0. Hope seems gone. And all of a sudden, Connor McDavid steps up. 2 games. Connor McDavid show. The same pattern emerges. Third game, McDavid's not the guy who's making the win happen tonight. The Oilers put forth an absolutely dominant first period, and then the same pattern emerges as the game goes on. That's been the result for all 3 of the last games. We're going to talk about that in a second, but before we do, I got to tell you, Edmonton fans, if you're here on the verge of a Stanley Cup, the first for Edmonton since 1990, you got to be excited. You got to be so excited, but you also got to know where you're going to find Game Over Edmonton next year when we launch officially. And that's from the Game Over Network channel, the link below on this video. Open it in a new tab, scroll all the way down past my face. Click Game Over Edmonton, click subscribe, hit the drop down menu, hit the notification bell so that you get notified whenever we post content. And you're going to enjoy a lot of the stuff that we have next year planned for Edmonton. It's going to be really awesome. But now, let's get into this game, because what on earth is happening? This is a once-in-a-lifetime possibility here. For the first time since, I believe, before 1950, I think the last time a team won after being down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Final was, I think it was the Maple Leafs in like the 40s. So what's happening here? I think we need to put it in context. And I'm not trying to take anything away from old-time hockey, but the quality of the game today is so much higher. And whether it's artificial or not, the parity in the league is also much higher. So being able to do what the Oilers have done here, not once, but twice, because they've done this in the regular season and now done it at an even grander stage in the Stanley Cup Final, coming back from dead. They're the Undertaker. They are the Undertaker laying down in the squared circle, and just when you think it's over, bam, they pop back up. Connor McDavid does something. Evan Bouchard does something. Zach Hyman does something. Leon Draisaitl does something. Or you know what? That Adam Henrique, Matthias Janmark, and Connor Brown line that's been absolute money in these playoffs, especially in the Stanley Cup Final, does something, and they find a way to get through it. But what is the pattern of these last 3 games? All 3 of them they've had varying results in terms of how much the Florida Panthers control the play. But at the beginning of each game, the Edmonton have come out, shot out of a cannon. The Edmonton Oilers have been incredible to start these games. The quality of chances they're producing, the speed at which they attack off the rush, has completely negated the impact that Sergei Bobrovsky had over the first 3 games, where he was almost impossible to beat. Now it's Edmonton driving the bus. It's more than the bus. They're driving a tanker truck through the middle of the ice, and it doesn't seem like there's anything that the Florida Panthers can do right now to stop them. They've got them scared, and frankly, they're right to be. Anytime Connor McDavid is carrying the puck towards you as a defenseman, a little part of your brain is doing the oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, because all you need to do is make one tiny mistake, and he's behind you. He's through you, and he's through your goaltender, and the puck's in the net. It's so incredible watching what's happened here with these Edmonton Oilers. They take over in the beginning of the game. They get the first goal. They start building that lead. And as soon as they get a 2 or 3 goal lead, they shell. And that shell gets even more conservative as the game goes on. In the third period today, and like, yes, the Panthers are pushing. No question about that. The scoring chances were 10-1 Panthers, 1 for the Oilers. The Oilers only took 4 shot attempts in 15-51 at even strength. In fact, even with their power plays, only 9 shot attempts to 24 for Florida. But I think the big thing to think about with the Florida Panthers in the last half of this game, they got 45 shot attempts towards Edmonton's net overall in all situations in the second half of the game. And in that second half of the game, they got 0.98 expected goals in the second period, 0.79 in the third period. It's just not good enough. In terms of creating offense, I know Stu Skinner is not the goalie that, you know, you expect to have a cup team back as the backbone, right? But he's not terrible. And if you're only going to put up 2 expected goals worth of scoring chances in a game in all situations, when you have a chance to win the Stanley Cup, you are not getting through that Oilers defense, especially when the Oilers are giving you the zone for 40 minutes a game now. So yes, absolutely incredible attention to detail by the Oilers defensively. Their shell game has been spectacular, but the ability that they've had to stop the Florida Panthers from getting into the tough areas is astonishing while they've defended these leads. It is hard to even put into words how strong the Edmonton Oilers have looked over the last 3 games, despite the underlying numbers not really showing that. I really do think what the Oilers are doing here is extremely impressive. Now, is it the best strategy for Game 7? I guess they've won 3 times in a row. You can't really argue with it, right? I do think it's a little bit precarious. Game 7s usually seem to be low scoring, but this pattern has worked. If they can get to Bobrovsky early, if the Oilers score in the first, 5-10 minutes of the game, the Florida Panthers are on their back foot. They are worried. They don't believe anymore. And they believed at points in this series. I think they believed up to the end of the last game, the end of Game 5. I think they thought they were going to come back in that game. They thought they were going to tie it. And this one has to be a tough pill to swallow. The Edmonton Oilers ran them out of the building in the first period, built their lead, and then didn't give them much. It's a testament to the entire Edmonton Oilers organization, especially the players on the ice and the coaching staff, the attention to detail that they've been able to execute defensively in these playoffs. They're not a defensive team by any stretch of the imagination, even though their defensive results in the regular season were good, but they're not what you think of as a shutdown defensive team. But they've proved here that they can do it, and that's all you need when you also have Connor McDavid, who can score a few goals for you. And Stu Skinner has come up large when he's needed to. It's really been something special. I'm going it alone tonight, so I do need some interaction from the chat, get some conversation going. But I think this one's going to be a short one because we've got Game 7 in a Stanley Cup Final coming up. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that we're going to want to talk about is going to be in that show, because this is where we are right now. We're on the precipice of history. We're on the beginning, right? Or not the beginning. We're almost there. And I don't want to give the Oilers full credit of accomplishing their goal until they do, but I completely believe right now that they're going to win the Stanley Cup. And that's an insane thing to say after the first 3 games of this series. It is shocking that we are here where we are. King of the North says, Andrew, what are your thoughts on Adam Henrique, and should the Oilers make sure he's on their roster next year? The thing about winning a Stanley Cup is it always makes these kinds of decisions painful, because Henrique clearly fits with the Oilers. I think he's really established himself as these playoffs have gone on. That third line has been absolute money, but what does he want? At the stage that Adam Henrique is at in his career, if he's willing to take like a bargain deal to stay in Edmonton, I don't think there's any doubt that Edmonton wants to keep the player, at least for like 1 or 2 years, right? He's not in his prime anymore, but he's a good player, a very strong utility player. He can play in many situations and score some wicked goals like he did tonight, like he has in this series. It's a great question, but I think all of those questions, when it comes to depth players after you win a Stanley Cup, it's the mistake almost every organization makes is they fall in love with the guys who aren't necessarily part of the core, but they were big parts in getting you there. And it's callous to say it, but a lot of those pieces are replaceable. You might not get the same player. There might be different strengths and weaknesses, but you can move your roster around a little bit to accommodate changes in the bottom of the lineup, whereas it's much more difficult in the top. So yeah, I do think that they will try to retain Henrique, but it's going to be tough. And if they win the Stanley Cup, though, who cares? Who cares about the cap? The Stanley Cup, man, you only 1 out of 32 teams can win it. For Edmonton to do it for the first time since 1990 would be insane. First Canadian team to do it since 1993. First to come back from 03 since the 40s. Like, there are so many firsts here. Zach Hyman has now scored the most goals of any player since Joe Sakic scored 18 in, I think, 1996. So he's the highest scoring playoff player in a single season in the salary cap era. Like, everyone on this team is rewriting record books as this run has gone on. It is really special, and I think we all need to take a moment when we're watching these games, and like, the quality of hockey is incredible, but take a moment to realize you're witnessing history. No matter how this ends, this series and this season for the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers has been nothing short of spectacular. It has been high drama, amazing sporting moments. We could not have scripted a more entertaining season from start to finish, I don't think. It's been a phenomenal season for hockey, and I've saw a few people giving credit to the NHL. I will not do that. I will give credit to the players. I don't think the league is very well run, but the players and the teams, you have put on a fantastic show for us this season. I'm so glad that we have one more game to experience these playoffs. It's been an incredible year. All right, I want to talk about specifically the Bouchard Ekholm pairing, because I feel like they haven't been getting enough attention considering what they've done so far.
Game Over Calgary is relaunching in October. For all your Game Over Calgary content, make sure you subscribe to our Calgary-specific YouTube channel. Open the Game Over Network YouTube page in a new tab from this video, scroll past Andrew talking, and click on the Game Over Calgary channel in our featured channel section. Click subscribe and make sure you hit the drop-down menu to get notified when we post videos or go live. Tell all your Flames fan friends and family to check it out and join our awesome community. And make sure you smash the like button on this video right into oblivion.
Sorry, folks. Apparently I touched my mic and the volume turned off. So what I was saying was that Peter just posted a video on the Game Over Calgary channel talking about Jacob Markstrom and the trade away from Calgary and all the moves that Calgary has made to build up their draft stock as they enter the rebuild / not rebuild, because they still think they're going to try to fight for the playoffs. But yeah, it's interesting. I think you should go check it out. Peter's put a lot of hard work into it, and let's throw the Calgary Flames a bone. It's been a rough year. All right, let's talk about Edmonton. I want to talk about Evan Bouchard in particular, but that Bouchard-Ekholm pairing as well. So coming into this game, Evolving Hockey I don't think has updated yet because the game just ended. But coming into this game, Evan Bouchard in these playoffs has been 7.2 or 7.24 expected goals in terms like net result overall, not per 60, none of that. 7.24 expected goals above his team when he's off the ice. So like relative to teammates, the Edmonton Oilers goal differential is 7.24 goals higher than when he's off the ice. May not sound that impressive, but over 23 games in the playoffs, as long as we have expected goals data recorded, which goes back to 2008, no defenseman in the NHL in a single playoff season has topped Evan Bouchard's relative expected goal impact of 7.24 in a playoff season. The closest is John Klingberg in 2018-19, then Victor Hedman in 2014-15. Like, you can go down through it. There's some incredible players through. If you subscribe to Evolving Hockey, which I truly believe you do, I think they have amazing data sets that you can learn so much about the game. But if you don't, I'm telling you the fun stuff in this specific thing. I don't know if we truly appreciate how special Evan Bouchard's playoffs has been. And same with Mattias Ekholm. Like, that pairing has been the absolute rock for Edmonton. And if you've been watching these shows as we've gone on throughout the playoffs, you know it wasn't that long ago that we were asking the question in this Stanley Cup Final: can a team win a Stanley Cup when only two of their defensemen are carrying the bag? This is when Cody Ceci and Darnell Nurse were put together. It was not working. Since that's been split up, man, Darnell Nurse has looked so much better. And frankly, Cody Ceci has too. And we have to give some credit. I know Cody Ceci is a divisive player, and there are a lot of things that he's really bad at. I don't think he's a top 4 player, so he's miscast in that role. But his spot on the PK for Edmonton, I don't think you can criticize anybody on that PK, because that's another thing on top of Bouchard and Ekholm that should be seen as era defining. We have not seen a penalty kill unit this dominant in terms of overall kill rate and shorthanded goals. I don't think in my lifetime, honestly, it is incredible the amount of control they exert over the game by not allowing their opponents to do much on the power play, and then getting goals shorthanded as well, which they've done multiple times this season. So it's really cool. And, you know, Bouchard, I think we'd be talking about him as the easiest Conn Smythe win if it weren't for Connor McDavid. Now, we could say Connor McDavid is a big part of Evan Bouchard's dominance as well. But when you have that, you know, era-defining star, sometimes the guys that support the star, everything they do gets written off, right? We'll call it like the Chris Letang effect, where, yes, Chris Letang played a lot of his career with Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby. But look at his career. Like, if you break it down, Chris Letang has had an absolutely stupendous career. Stupendous. And I think Evan Bouchard, in a few years, we're going to be speaking of him in an even more highly regarded way than Chris Letang, because he's come around defensively now, and his offense is just ridiculous. The way he's jumped into plays in this series, it's baffling how well he's able to confuse opposing defensive structures. His decision making is incredible. His passing is incredible. He's like the perfect facilitator for McDavid and Draisaitl, especially on the power play, but at even strength too. He's just been incredible. And Ekholm, what can you say about the rock of the Oilers back end? You know, usually we talk about that as like, you know, maybe a big minute-eating franchise defenseman, but usually when you're talking about the foundation of a team's defensive play, maybe this is from me talking so much about the Montreal Canadiens usually, but usually you start with the goalie. And I don't want to disrespect Stu Skinner. I think he's a great athlete. I love that he's also a hometown kid, so this is extra special for him as well. Like, this whole moment, being able to get back in it. And I think as much as the Oilers have been coming back from the dead, so is Stu Skinner. You know, he's had multiple times this season where people thought that he was out, you know, and he comes back and puts on great performances, being keyed in at the right times. But it is Ekholm that drives the bus for the Edmonton Oilers defensively. If it weren't for him, I mean, we've seen before in times where Edmonton made the playoffs how rough their defense can be. His ability to play within structure and jump into plays at the right time, his reads, his stick checks, his control of situations is palpable. Like the calmness that emanates throughout the Oilers lineup when Matthias Ekholm is the one defending is awesome. It's really fun to watch. All right, Romelli says Hyman has the most goals in the playoffs in the modern era, and nobody talks about it. Yeah, exactly. We mentioned last show that Hyman is another one that in any other year, you look at the stats, he's the easy Conn Smythe guy. But Connor McDavid has been, I don't even have words for it, guys. Like it's stuff that hasn't happened in hockey since Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux. That's the level that Connor McDavid is at right now. It's just hard to even wrap your head around how cool it is. Hunter Dillon says, hey, Andrew, how goes it? I'll be honest, I'm a little bit overheated. It's been real hot in Montreal the last few days. I know it hasn't been so much out west, but the house is a little warm, so I may be a little sweaty as we get to the end of this show, unfortunately, but we'll deal with it. King of the North says, I grew up with Cody Cece's wife. He can put up with her craziness. He has my respect. Well, listen, let's keep it profesh here. Cody Cece, he's had some moments. He's had some moments where it's been not pretty for the Oilers, but I have to give him props. He had some big plays tonight on the PK. I know he's not a great player by any stretch of the imagination, but I have to give it to this entire Oilers team. To get to even to this point was so unlikely. It's hard to put it into words. So few teams have gotten to this point, not even just in the Stanley Cup Final, in all the rounds in NHL history. It's extraordinarily rare to come back from 3-0. And I got to imagine the Florida Panthers are scared, because I'd be scared. I'd be really worried. Could you imagine actually blowing this thing, having 4 chances to win and bowing out all 4 times? But I know there was a stat that was going around after the game 4, I think. Maybe it was before. It was talking about the Edmonton Oilers had lost 3 straight on several different occasions this season. And each time they followed it up with huge win streaks. I think there was one that was like 16 wins and one that was 9 and one that was like 6 or something like that. So winning 4 in a row is not that hard to believe for this Edmonton Oilers team. What is hard to believe is winning 4 in a row against a team as good as the Florida Panthers. That's what's so impressive about this on this stage, to see their best players just step up, see their depth players step up. You know, Darnell Nurse has been dragged through the mud by a lot of folks during this playoff run ever since he signed that contract. And let's be real, the contract's not good. We can say that and still say that the player doesn't suck. And I thought he was great tonight. His empty net goal to seal the game made even better by the ridiculous pass by Stu Skinner as he's spinning around seemingly out of control at his net front. There's so much greatness going on right now with the Edmonton Oilers, and the Florida Panthers, all the breaks that they were getting through the first 3 games, they're not happening anymore. Momentum can change on a dime, but right now, who do we expect to win? I think I know. All right, let's talk about what's going to happen in Game 7 and what the Oilers' game plan should be in a moment. But first, I'm going to tell you where you can find Game Over Winnipeg next season. Game Over Winnipeg is broadcasting from the Game Over Network channel for right now during the playoffs. However, in October, the network relaunches for real, and Game Over Winnipeg gets its own channel. So for all of your Winnipeg Jets content, fun, news, and analysis, head on over to the Game Over Winnipeg channel from the Game Over Network channel. Open it in a new tab right now, scroll past my ugly mug, all the way down, and click on the Winnipeg channel from our featured channels section. Click subscribe and make sure you hit that reminder bell so that you get notified whenever we post a video or go live. Tell all your Jets fan friends and family to come check out our awesome community. We promise they won't regret it. And make sure on this video you smash that like button right into oblivion. All right, folks, we're back. I am Andrew Berkshire hosting Game Over Edmonton. I am not your usual host. I usually host Game Over Montreal, but our Edmonton folks are busy for these playoffs. They weren't able to join us for the soft launch, but they'll be back for the full relaunch in October. Make sure you check out Game Over Edmonton from our Game Over Network Hub channel. And subscribe there. Subscribe to the Game Over Network channel and also smash the like button on this video. It really does help us out. And the only way that we can grow is with the help of our fans, because we have no centralized way to tell all the people who watched Game Over before that we're back up. Like, my biggest followings on Twitter. Twitter sucks now. Elon Musk destroyed that thing. It just doesn't work anymore. So we need your help, our amazing community, to get the word out that we're back, and it's going to be fun. Although I do say, like, I think I look at what happened these playoffs, and I wonder what our numbers would have been had SDP not laid us off. Because, you know, Vancouver, we were averaging almost 3,000 views a game in the regular season. Edmonton was inching towards 2,000 in the regular season. Playoffs usually triple. That Edmonton-Vancouver series, I think that would have launched Game Over into the stratosphere on SDPN. But hey, you know what? Time, you can't look backwards. You can only look forwards. So now when we're growing, it's going to be our growth. It's going to be our community, and we're going to build it up from the ground up. It's going to be super awesome. I just wish that we had more of our fans from Edmonton, fans of the Oilers, able to take part in this with us, because it's just such a special moment. And it just sucks that we can't get more of you back with us at this stage, but we'll get there next season. I promise. We'll make sure that we get the word out, and I hope our community helps us as well. So all of your shares, your likes, your comments, all of that really helps. Tag me if you want, and I'll send you a message of love, because I really do love every single person that's tuned into these as we've gone through the playoffs. I know that I talk about this a lot, and it's a little bit inside baseball, but the reason why we're doing this is because we really care about it, and we truly believe in what we're doing. And the fact that anybody's here listening to us talk about these teams, when we haven't been able to really push ourselves out to make sure that our core fan base knows that we're here, it does really mean a lot. It means that you're searching us out, that you listen, and that you're on the ball, and we appreciate the hell out of you. All right, King of the North says, I was there for Game Over Montreal, and I'm here. Damn right. So many of us have come back to enjoy each other's company during this playoff run. So how are you all feeling about Game 7? Because I got to tell you, I thought this was going to be over in Game 4. And then I thought it was going to be over in Game 5. And then Game 6, I didn't think it was going to be over. I thought the Oilers were going to pull this off. And now I am starting to have difficulty envisioning a way that the Florida Panthers can win this thing. As the camera panned over their bench at the end of this one, there was just so many dejected faces. And I don't think they're going to throw in the towel for the next game. If anything, the first 5 minutes might be reversed. You know, after the way the last 3 games have gone, some fire and brimstone from Paul Maurice in the Florida Panthers pants there. Get their bums on fire, coming out flying and at home with a chance to win the Stanley Cup. But the Oilers are strong. They are so strong. And now that Skinner is, like, his puck tracking is on point, he's been really strong to close out every series in these playoffs. I have so much belief in this Oilers group. You know, I believed before the final. They lose 3 straight, and you have to waver, because 3 straight, it's too much. But it's not too much for them. They keep on proving it. And frankly, I'm not going to doubt them anymore. I'm not going to doubt Connor McDavid. And I saw somebody mention hilariously that McDavid was held off the score sheet tonight. And that is funny. That is funny. And it is good, frankly, to see the rest of the Oilers step up, because it can't always be the Connor McDavid show, even if it often is. And, you know, what can you even say about what Connor McDavid is able to do? I am at a loss for words with how cool this series has been. I am very interested to see if Florida can adjust somewhat to stop what Edmonton is doing off the rush, because I think you look at the last few games here, and I think if you're very charitable towards the Panthers, you say like, oh look, the ice tilted, and after such and such point in the game, the Oilers weren't able to generate much offensively at 5-on-5. True, according to the numbers. But if you're actually watching the game at the same time, you can add the context to those numbers that I don't think the Oilers were trying to get anything done in those moments. If you're not pushing the envelope to gain the zone possession while the other team is aggressive, you're not going to get many chances. And when the Florida Panthers have been backs against the wall, they have tried to throw everything and the kitchen sink at the Oilers. But if all you can do is defensive breakups and get medium quality chances, Stu Skinner is going to have a good chance of stopping those. And the Oilers defense has been cleaning out rebounds like they cannot be out-battled. The amount of goal mouth scrambles that an Oilers stick finds a loose puck or bats a puck right off of a Panthers stick has been crazy. And maybe you would say the Oilers are getting lucky in that respect, and that all these little 50-50 battles seem to be going the Oilers' way at the most crucial moments. And maybe the Panthers get some of those opportunities to go through next game. But the Panthers haven't really been able to create those chances consistently until they've already been down 2-3-0 to the Oilers over the last 3 games. So at a certain point, the Panthers are going to have to find a way in this game, the next game, to solve that issue of the Edmonton Oilers when the game is tied or very close, and they haven't been able to do it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Romelli asks, game over draft day. That's the plan. We haven't fully made a plan on draft day of who's going to be involved, how we're going to structure the show, but we are going to do it. I hope it is going to be a lot more organized than what I pulled off for the draft lottery because we were trying to watch and like everybody's feeds were not synced up. So people were reacting at different times and you get a conversation going, you ask a question and then a pick is revealed. So you have to like cut people off. At least the draft's a little bit slower. So we'll probably take a longer show, go live during it and like react to it instead of an after show. So you can watch along with us and have some fun. It'll be like kind of a stress-free thing, but I'm not fully sold on what the format is going to be yet. So stay tuned. We will tell you about that. As for free agency, that might be more like individual market reaction videos to anything that happens because frankly, full disclosure, I hate free agency day. I think it's a lot of sitting around for not much. It's kind of the same as trade deadline day, although I find trade deadline day a little bit more exciting usually, more speculation. But I don't really want to sit for like 6 hours on Canada Day and not go outside. So we'll see. We'll see. I've done a lot of that already in this soft launch, but no promises on free agency day. But we will do something for draft day. But more importantly, Monday night. The Edmonton Oilers have a chance to secure the Stanley Cup. The 6th in their franchise history. The 1st since 1990. The 1st Canadian team since 1993. Finally breaking the Bettman curse and giving conspiracy theorists in Canada one less thing to be angry about because every year we hear the Bettman hates Canada and is biased against Canada thing, and I just don't think that's true. I think there's a lot of other reasons why Canadian teams haven't won in a long time. And Gary Bettman might be part of it in terms of how he's managed the NHL and how the salary cap structure benefits certain teams. Like, say, the Florida teams that have been in the Stanley Cup Final for 5 straight years. I'm sure it's not a coincidence that they have no state taxes and get to do whatever the hell they want. But anyway, the point is, in game, there's no bias against Canadian teams, and the Edmonton Oilers are proving that. Canadian clubs have not built good enough teams consistently to win Stanley Cups. That's what's happened over the last 30 years. But this Edmonton Oilers team, despite flaws in certain areas, are good enough, and a big part of that is that their stars are absolute gamers in the playoffs, just like Leon Draisaitl tonight when he finally showed up in this series, put a beautiful saucer pass on whose stick was it? Jeez, I'm forgetting now. It was Fogel. Absolutely gorgeous pass, especially from the Fogel angle, like the other side, when you see how amazingly perfect that pass wobbles in the air and then lands right on his stick. Just beautiful. Beautiful pass from Leon Draisaitl. So I'm calling an Oilers Stanley Cup on Monday. I can't wait to join you there. I believe Peter's actually going to host that one, but I want to be on for the Stanley Cup final or the Stanley Cup game. So I'm going to jump on with Peter. I'm going to try to get Avery on as well because we need some Edmonton voices, but we'll see because Avery's got some other commitments that he has to manage as well. It's going to be really fun. Folks, if you have any questions, get them into the stream chat now, because it's about to be our presser time. But first, I'm going to remind you once more where you can catch Game Over Edmonton next year because it's going to be fun. We've got so much cool stuff planned for you. And hey, how much better is a Game Over season when you're a defending Stanley Cup champion? Game Over Edmonton is broadcasting from the Game Over Network channel for the playoffs, but come 2024 in October, we're relaunching with our own channel. So for all of your Edmonton Oilers news, analysis, and fun, make sure you open the Game Over Network channel from this video, scroll past my ugly mug, and head on down to the Game Over Edmonton channel from our featured channels area. Click subscribe and make sure you ring that reminder bell to make sure that you get notified whenever we post something or go live. Tell all your Oilers fan friends and family to come join our amazing community. You won't regret it. And on this video, smash that like button right into oblivion. All right, folks, thanks so much for joining me here on Game Over Edmonton, the Game Over Edmonton channel. Obviously, go subscribe to that. Thanks for liking this video. Thanks for watching this video. I'm going to scroll through the stream chat here and see if there's any questions that I haven't answered that might be worthwhile. King of the North also asks if there's going to be draft content on Friday. Yes. I don't think we're going to upload, like if we upload any draft reaction videos like pre-recorded, it'll probably be like YouTube shorts, like 1 minute kind of thing. And maybe just be live during the draft. I think that'll be more fun. We'll all hang out, comment on stuff, have some snacks, talk about the draft. There was a question asking if it's going to be a stress-free draft for the Habs. Or for Habs fans, also King of the North. Obviously, it's weird to talk about the Habs on this show because they're not relevant to the Oilers, but just because I know there are Habs fans here watching live, the way I see it is there's a very, very, very good chance that one of Lindstrom or Demidov will be available at 5. I'd be very happy with either of those guys. If the Habs are able to somehow find a way to get Demidov, I'd be over the moon. But I'd be very happy with Lindstrom as well. If both of those guys are gone, then it becomes a little bit more stressful. But I think they're in a good position, honestly, for this draft. And this is one of the most interesting drafts that I can remember because a lot of the best players are defensemen, but it seems like everybody is very cagey about how many of those defensemen will get picked early, which means a lot of very, very good defense prospects are going to slide into the outside the top 10 maybe, and create a very weird dynamic in the draft. And the forward prospects at the very top are also really, really good. Like it's a really strong top end of the draft, even if there's only one Macklin Celebrini. So it's going to be a really fun one. He says Habs fans aren't stress-free ever. That's true. That's true. I don't think they're going to pick another defenseman, Ramelli. I think it's very obvious they want a forward this year. David W. says, looking forward to Game 7 of this Cub Final. Hope everyone has a good weekend. Myself as well. It's going to be a good one. All right, that's it for me tonight, folks. Thank you so much for watching Game Over Edmonton. We'll be back one more time this season. Hopefully, talking about an Edmonton Oilers Stanley Cup victory with Connor McDavid carrying around that Conn Smythe trophy right before. That's what should happen. That's what we deserve to see. Hopefully it's what we see. All right, folks, we'll see you on Monday. Personally, I can't wait.
Get